Helene Beanie here, and I'm talking to you. I'm looking for you. I'm looking for those people that love life, love to laugh, and love discovering something new. Vegan nut cheese, step one. Step one is you want to soak your nuts. So I don't like using cashew nuts. They're extremely high in oxalates and other anti-nutrients. I would recommend that you go with another nut. Macadamia nuts are great. So mine soaked outside for 12 hours, and you can see them here. Next step is to blend them in a food processor. You can do it in your Vitamix as well, in a blender, in a high-speed blender, but I find it's easier to get it out of my Magimix, and I can use less water, and that works out to be a better hard cheese. So I am now going to blend the macadamia nuts, and I'm going to add water and probiotics. So blend your nuts with no liquids, just the nuts, the soaked nuts, and after they are blended you'll have kind of a coarse texture. Then you'll add the water and the probiotics, adding water slowly and carefully. This is the probiotic I use. It's called Vivomix here in Israel. It used to be called VSL3. I believe in most of the world it's still called VSL3. It's the exact same probiotic. What I like about this, it's not capsules, and it has a lot of strains, and they're large doses. So I've put the cheese bag and the nut cheese, into a fine mesh strainer. I found the plastic doesn't work well. It molds the cheese. So you got to remember that humidity and dampness, that's the enemy. That's going to create mold. So you want to keep things as dry as possible. Now, in a quote-unquote normal environment, you can leave it in a dark area covered with a towel to ferment for 2 days. However, I'm in Israel and it's now summer and it's very hot. It's hot and it's even humid these days. So what I'm going to do is stick my cheese like this with a towel, 2 towels on top of it, into my dehydrator, and I'm going to turn it on to its lowest setting, which is 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and that way the fan will work and prevent mold from starting up. Now, I'd say summer, we're not even going to make the day and a half point. So I'd say about a day and a quarter is the borderline between mold and not mold, okay? So we're gonna stick that into the dehydrator, and we're gonna wait a few hours, a day, a little bit more, and then we're gonna add the flavorings and make our cheese. Helene Beanie here. Life happens, and my nut cheeses I had to put together late last night. It was about midnight. If I would have left my cheeses any longer, they would have gone rancid. And I so wanted to have that as part of the video, but you know, it's okay. We'll get over that. So the consistency of our cheese, I have here my cheddar cheese. And this is it's like Play-Doh. Okay, Play-Doh. So it came out after fermenting the cheese about this consistency. The only liquid that I've added is lemon juice. So I have made my cheeses. I flavored them, and it's pretty. And actually, it's a lot of fun to put together these cheeses. I like my creative mode. Now, this is the size of the cheese that I generally make. I started out with 1 kilogram of macadamia nuts. So this ring is, I can make about 8 rings of this size. And so I have here, I have here 125 grams of cheese, more or less. So you see, I stuck them in the refrigerator and they just come out so nicely. I've got another flavor of cheese. And I've even got these tiny rings, which is the least amount of cheese. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all these cheeses, I'm going to put them in the dehydrator. I'm going to put them in the dehydrator for about 3 hours, and in the middle, flip sides. It just gives it a nice crust on top of it. But you can definitely put these in the refrigerator and just use them as like this. If you don't have a dehydrator, it just changes the texture of the cheese. Now, when I am making one of these large size rings of cheese, I add 1 teaspoon of lemon juice and anywhere between half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. And I love my Himalayan salt, which is a pink salt. I also love this black salt, which is amazing. I generally, in all my cheeses, I will put 1 tablespoon of yeast flakes. They look like this, if you can see this. And that gives the nut cheeses a cheesy flavor, which is nice. And then I just add my spices. To get a cheddar cheese, I add cumin, and I add turmeric, and I add cayenne pepper, which gives it a nice kick if you like something with a little bit of spice. I've got a cheese with fennel seeds, garlic, and thyme. And I have another white cheese with rosemary seeds, thyme, and garlic. One of my all-time favorites is using za'atar, a Mediterranean spice, kind of an oregano kind of spice mix. And I use sumac, which is also a Mediterranean spice, and olives, which is really decadent. So I'm just going to put all of these cheeses here out for you. And you can see that I've wrapped my cheeses in this, I don't even know what to call it. It's plastic that you can use in your dehydrator. It's very flexible, and that keeps the cheeses from going dry. So you can see all the cheeses that I've made here, some big and some small. And all of them are delicious. With macadamia cheese, you can almost stick these in the refrigerator and take them out right away. But with like a cashew nut cheese, you're going to have to leave it in a few hours before it retains its shape. So here we have our sheet of nut cheeses. They're going in the dehydrator, and I will be sure to show them to you afterwards. Bon appetit! B'teavon! Our nut cheese is ready. Enjoy. See you later.